The big space station hung in the dark sky like a shiny toy. It spun slowly around a planet that no one lived on. This was where aliens from all over the galaxy came to talk and make deals. Today was special. Spaceships of all shapes and sizes were coming to the station. Some were long and thin. Others looked like balls with wings. Each one carried important aliens from different worlds. Inside the station, the main meeting room was filling up. The room was huge, with tall windows that showed the stars outside. Seats of all sizes were arranged in a big circle. Some were small for the tiny aliens. Others were large for the big, heavy ones. Tak, a Zagonian, walked into the room. He looked like a blue octopus wearing a fancy suit. His 8 arms moved gracefully as he found his seat. Tak was smart and careful. He always tried to keep everyone happy. Next to him sat Rin, the Vexaran ambassador. Rin was tall and thin, with skin that looked like tree bark. She had big purple eyes that seemed to see everything. Rin was known for being very curious about new things. "Greetings, Tak," Rin said in a soft voice. "Have you heard the news?" Tak's skin changed color slightly, showing he was interested. "What news, friend Rin?" Rin leaned closer. "They say the humans are coming. Today." Tak's arms waved in surprise. "Humans? Here? But they've never left their solar system before." Other aliens nearby heard them and started whispering. Soon, the whole room was buzzing with excitement and worry. An old Grixian with gray scales stood up. "Order, order," he shouted, his voice rough like sand. "The Galactic Summit will now begin. First on our list." But no one was really listening. They were all thinking about the humans. Humans were a mystery to most aliens. They lived far away on a planet called Earth. Some stories said they were friendly and smart. Other stories said they were dangerous. No one knew for sure. As the meeting went on, aliens kept looking at the door. They were waiting for the humans to arrive. But hour after hour passed, and no humans came. During a break, Tak and Rin went to get some food. The station had many kinds of alien food. Tak ate glowing blue cubes. Rin drank something that looked like liquid metal. "What do you think the humans will be like?" Rin asked. Tak thought for a moment. "I've heard they look a bit like Vexarans, but with soft skin and hair on their heads." Rin's purple eyes got even bigger. "How strange. I wonder if they're friendly." Just then, a loud alarm rang through the station. Everyone froze. A voice came over the speakers. It sounded excited and a little scared. "Attention all delegates. A ship is approaching. It's the humans. They're here." Tak and Rin looked at each other. This was it, the moment everyone had been waiting for. They hurried back to the main room with the other aliens. On the big screens, they could see a small ship coming closer to the station. It was smooth and white, shaped like an arrow. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone watched as the human ship got closer and closer. Finally, it stopped next to the station. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with a hiss of air, a door opened on the side of the human ship. A walkway extended from the station to the ship. Tak held his breath. Rin's purple eyes were wide open. All around the room, aliens leaned forward in their seats. 2 figures stepped out of the ship. They walked slowly towards the station. As they got closer, everyone could see them better. They looked a bit like Vexarans, just as Tak had said. But their skin was different colors. One was light, one was dark. They had no scales or tentacles. On top of their heads was something fuzzy that must be hair. The humans walked into the station. They looked around at all the aliens watching them. Then one of them smiled. "Hello," said the human. "We come in peace. I'm Captain J, and this is Diplomat's son. We're here to join your galactic summit." The room was silent for a moment. Then, all at once, every alien started talking. The galactic summit would never be the same again. The room was full of noise. All the aliens were talking at once. Some sounded excited, others scared. Captain J and Diplomat's son stood quietly, waiting for everyone to calm down. Tak, the blue octopus-like alien, waved his arms for quiet. "Please, friends," he said. "Let's welcome our new guests properly." Slowly, the room got quieter. The old Grixian, with gray scales, stood up. "Humans," he said in his rough voice, "welcome to the Galactic Summit. I am Head Counselor Zix. We have many questions for you." Diplomat's son stepped forward. She had dark skin and short black hair. Her smile was friendly. "We're happy to answer your questions," she said. "But first, we have a request." The aliens looked at each other. What could the humans want? "Our ship, the HSS Thunderbolt, is waiting just outside your solar system," Sun explained. "We'd like permission to bring it to the station." The room exploded with noise again. "Bring a human warship here." Many aliens didn't like that idea. Rin, the tall alien who looked like a tree, raised her hand. "Why do you need to bring your warship?" she asked. Her purple eyes were wide with worry. Captain J answered. He was taller than Sun, with light skin and no hair on his head. "The Thunderbolt is not just a warship," he said. "It's also our home and our greatest achievement. We want to show you what humans can do." The aliens talked among themselves. Some thought it was a good idea. Others were scared. Tak spoke up. "Maybe we should vote on this," he suggested. Head Counselor Zix nodded. "All in favor of allowing the human ship to approach, raise your hand or tentacle." Slowly, hands and tentacles and wings went up. It was close, but in the end, more aliens said yes than no. "Very well," said Zix. "Humans, you may call your ship." Captain J smiled and touched a small device on his wrist. "Thunderbolt, this is Captain J. You have permission to approach the station." For a few minutes, nothing happened. The aliens waited nervously. Then suddenly, alarms started blaring. "Alert! Large object detected," a voice said over the speakers. It's massive." Everyone rushed to the windows. At first, they couldn't see anything. Then, a tiny dot appeared in the distance. It grew bigger and bigger. Gasps filled the room as the HSS Thunderbolt came into view. It was enormous, bigger than any ship the aliens had ever seen. It was black and sleek, shaped like a giant arrow. Strange lights glowed along its sides. "By the stars," whispered Rin. "It's the size of a small moon." The Thunderbolt moved slowly towards the station. As it got closer, the aliens could see more details. The ship had no visible weapons, but something about it looked very dangerous. How many weapons does it have?" asked a small, furry alien in a shaky voice. Captain J looked confused. "Weapons? The Thunderbolt doesn't have any weapons." The room went silent. "No weapons? How could that be?" "But it's a warship, isn't it?" asked Tak. Diplomat's son nodded. "Yes, but not in the way you think. The Thunderbolt doesn't need weapons. It has other ways to fight." The aliens looked at each other, confused and a little scared. What did the humans mean? As the Thunderbolt got closer to the station, its size became even more impressive. It made the alien ships look like tiny toys. "We'd like to invite a group of representatives to tour our ship," said Captain J. "You can see for yourselves what the Thunderbolt can do." The aliens were curious, but also nervous. Who would be brave enough to go on the human ship? Rin stepped forward. "I volunteer," she said. Her purple eyes shone with excitement. Tak waved two of his arms. "I'll go too," he said. He sounded brave, but his blue skin had turned a little pale. Slowly, other aliens volunteered. Soon, a small group was ready to visit the Thunderbolt. As they prepared to leave, the other aliens watched nervously. What would they find on the human ship? Was it really as peaceful as the humans said? Or was there something more to the HSS Thunderbolt? The tour group followed Captain J and Diplomat's son to the docking bay. As the doors opened, they got their first close-up look at the massive human ship. It was time to uncover the secrets of the Thunderbolt. The group of alien representatives followed Captain J and Diplomat's son towards the HSS Thunderbolt. As they got closer, the ship seemed to grow even bigger. It was so tall that they had to bend their necks to see the top. Tak, the blue octopus-like alien, moved nervously. It's so big," he said. His voice shook a little. Rin, the tall tree-like alien, nodded. Her purple eyes were wide with wonder. "I've never seen anything like it," she said. Captain J smiled. "Wait until you see inside," he said. They reached a large door on the side of the ship. Captain J put his hand on a panel next to the door. It lit up, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. The aliens gasped as they stepped inside. They were in a huge room with smooth white walls. The floor was shiny and seemed to glow softly. Strange lights danced across the ceiling. "Welcome to the HS Thunderbolt," said Diplomat's son. "This is our main entry hall." A new human appeared. She was shorter than Captain J and had long black hair tied back. "Hello," she said with a smile. "I'm Chief Engineer Yun. I'll be your guide today." The aliens introduced themselves one by one. They were all curious and a little scared. "Please, follow me," said Yun. She led them down a long hallway. The walls were covered in screens showing stars and planets. They entered another big room. It was full of plants and trees. A small stream ran through the middle. Birds with bright feathers flew from tree to tree. "This is our biodome," Yun explained. "It helps clean our air and gives us fresh food." Rin touched a leaf gently. "It's like a piece of a planet inside your ship," she said, amazed. Next, they visited the engine room. It was huge, filled with strange machines that hummed softly. In the center was a big ball of swirling blue light. "This is our main power source," said Yun. "It's an artificial star." The aliens were shocked. They had never seen anything like it. "But how do you control it?" asked Tak. "Isn't it dangerous?" Yun shook her head. "It's perfectly safe," she said. "We can control it completely." As they walked, the aliens saw many strange things. They saw rooms where humans were floating in the air, rooms full of flashing lights and beeping machines, and rooms that seemed to change shape as they watched. Finally, they'd reached the bridge. It was a large room at the very top of the ship. The walls were clear, giving a view of space all around them. Captain Joe walked to the center of the room. "This is where we control the ship," he said. "From here, we can do almost anything." Suddenly, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed everywhere. "What's happening?" cried Rin, her purple eyes wide with fear. A human at one of the control panels turned to Captain Ja. "Sir, we're detecting a large fleet of ships entering the system. They're not responding to our hails." The aliens looked at each other in panic. Who could it be? Were they under attack? Captain J stayed calm. "Show me," he said. A big screen appeared in the air. It showed many ships moving towards the station. They looked angry and dangerous. "Those are Drakkar ships," said Tak, his blue skin turning pale. "They're space pirates. Very dangerous." Diplomat's son turned to the aliens. "Don't worry," she said. "We can handle this." But the aliens were scared. The Drakkar were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. How could the humans stop them? Captain J touched a panel on his chair. "All hands, battle stations," he said calmly. "Prepare to defend the station." The aliens watched in fear and amazement as the humans began to move. Lights flashed, machines hummed, and the whole ship seemed to come alive. The HSS Thunderbolt was about to show its true power. The aliens were about to see why humans were the most terrifying species in the galaxy. As the alarms blared on the HSS Thunderbolt, panic spread through the space station. Aliens ran in all directions, trying to find safety. The news of the Drakkar fleet's approach had reached everyone. In the main meeting room, Head Counselor Zix tried to keep order. "Please, everyone, stay calm. he shouted, his gray scales shimmering in the flashing lights. But it was hard to stay calm. The Drakkar were known as the most feared pirates in the galaxy. Many aliens had lost homes and loved ones to their attacks. Tak and Rin rushed into the room, followed by the other aliens who had toured the Thunderbolt. They all looked scared and confused. "The humans say they can help," Tak said, waving his blue tentacles. "But how? Their ship has no weapons." Rin nodded, her purple eyes wide. "We saw inside their ship. It's amazing, but we didn't see anything that could fight the Drakkar." The room erupted in shouts and arguments. Some aliens wanted to trust the humans. Others thought they should run away as fast as they could. Suddenly, the big screen in the room lit up. Captain J's face appeared, looking calm and serious. "Greetings, delegates of the Galactic Summit," he said. "I understand you're frightened, but I assure you, the HSS Thunderbolt can protect you from the Drakkar threat." An alien with fur and big ears stood up. "How?" he asked. "You have no weapons." Captain J smiled. "We have something better than weapons. We have technology you've never seen before. Trust us, and we'll keep you safe." The room went quiet. The aliens looked at each other, not sure what to think. Then Diplomat Sun's face appeared next to Captain J's. "We know you don't have any reason to trust us," she said. "We're new here, but we humans have a saying. Actions speak louder than words. Let us show you what we can do." Head Counselor Zix stepped forward. "And what if we refuse your help?" he asked. "What if we decide to evacuate the station instead?" Captain J's face grew serious. "With all due respect, Counselor, you don't have time to evacuate. The Drakkar fleet will be here in less than an hour. Your ships aren't fast enough to escape." The aliens in the room started to panic again. They knew Captain J was right. They were trapped. Tak raised two of his tentacles. "I think we should trust the humans," he said. "They've been honest with us so far, and we don't have many other options." Rin nodded. "I agree," she said. "I saw their ship. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Maybe they really can help." But not everyone agreed. A tall, thin alien with green skin stood up. "This is ridiculous," he shouted. "We don't know anything about these humans. For all we know, they could be working with the Drakkar." The room erupted in shouts again. Aliens took sides, arguing loudly with each other. On the screen, Captain J and Diplomat Sun watched and waited. They knew this was a crucial moment. The fate of the station and humanity's place in the galactic community hung in the balance. Finally, Head Counselor Zix raised his hands for silence. "We will vote," he said. "All in favor of accepting the humans' help, raise your hand or tentacle." Slowly, hands and tentacles began to rise. Tak and Rin raised theirs immediately. Others followed, some quickly, some hesitantly. In the end, it was close, but more aliens voted to trust the humans than not. Zix turned to the screen. "Captain J, Diplomat Sun," he said, his voice solemn. "We accept your offer of protection. What do you need us to do?" Captain J nodded. "Thank you for your trust," he said. "We'll need all of you to stay on the station. Don't try to leave. We'll handle the Drakkar." As the screen went dark, the aliens in the room looked at each other nervously. They had made their choice. Now they could only wait and see what would happen. Outside, the HSS Thunderbolt began to move. It positioned itself between the station and the approaching Drakkar fleet. The stage was set. The battle was about to begin, and the aliens were about to see just what humanity's warship could really do. As the HSS Thunderbolt moved into position, the aliens on the space station watched with a mix of fear and hope. They had voted to trust the humans, but many still had doubts. Captain J's voice came over the station speakers. "We're going to show you how the Thunderbolt works," he said. "Chief Engineer Yun will take a group on a special tour. You'll see things we didn't show you before." Head Counselor Zix looked around the room. "Who will go?" he asked. Tak raised a tentacle. "I'll go again," he said. His blue skin was pale, but he looked determined. Rin nodded. "Me too," she said. Her purple eyes shone with curiosity. A few other aliens volunteered. Soon, a small group was ready. They boarded the Thunderbolt again. This time, Chief Engineer Yun led them to a new area of the ship. The walls here were dark and shiny. Strange symbols glowed on screens all around them. "This is our defense center," Yun explained. "From here, we control the ship's special systems." The aliens looked around in awe. They didn't see any weapons, but the room felt very powerful. Yun walked to a big screen. "Watch this," she said. She touched the screen, and suddenly the room changed. The walls seemed to disappear. The aliens gasped. It was like they were floating in space. They could see the station behind them and the Drakkar ships in front. "This is our full view system," Yun said. "We can see everything around us, as if the ship wasn't here." Tak waved a tentacle through the image. "It's not real?" he asked. Yun smiled. "It's real. We're seeing what's really out there. We just use special cameras and screens to show it." Next, Yun showed them a strange machine. It was a big ball of swirling energy, like a tiny star. "This is our main defense," she said. "We call it the quantum field generator." Rin leaned closer, fascinated. "What does it do?" she asked. "It creates a special field around our ship," Yun explained. "Nothing can get through it. Not lasers, not missiles, not even small ships." The aliens were amazed. They had never heard of such technology. "But how do you fight back?" Tak asked. "How do you stop the bad ships?" Yun's face grew serious. "We don't like to fight if we don't have to," she said. "But if we must, we have ways." She showed them another machine. This one looked like a big cannon, but it didn't shoot bullets or lasers. "This is our gravity pulse emitter," Yun said. "It can push or pull other ships. We can move them away without hurting anyone." The aliens looked at each other in surprise. This was not what they expected from a warship. As the tour went on, they saw more amazing things: machines that could heal injuries in seconds, computers that could think almost like people, engines that could move the ship faster than light. Finally, they returned to the bridge. Captain J was there, watching the Drakkar ships get closer. "Now you've seen what we can do," he said to the aliens. "Do you understand why we don't need traditional weapons?" Tak nodded slowly. "Your whole ship is like one big smart weapon," he said. "But it's for defense, not attack." Rin's purple eyes were wide with understanding. "You're so advanced, you don't need to fight like others do," she said. "You can protect without destroying." Captain J smiled. "That's right," he said. "We believe the best victory is one where no one gets hurt." Suddenly, alarms started blaring again. A human at a control panel turned to Captain J. "Sir, the Drakkar ships are powering up their weapons," the human said. "They'll be in firing range in 2 minutes." The aliens looked scared, but Captain J remained calm. "Don't worry," he said. "We're ready for them. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do." As the aliens watched, the HSS Thunderbolt began to glow with a soft blue light. The quantum field generator was powering up. The moment of truth had arrived. The humans were about to face their first big test in the galaxy. The space around the station was quiet, but everyone knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. The Drakkar ships were getting closer every second. On the bridge of the HSS Thunderbolt, Captain J stood tall. He looked calm, but his eyes were serious. The alien visitors watched him closely. "How long until they're here?" Tak asked. His blue tentacles were shaking a little. A human at a control panel answered, 1 minute, sir." Rin's purple eyes were wide. "What will they do?" she asked. Captain J turned to the aliens. "They'll probably try to scare us first," he said. "The Drakkar like to look tough." Just then, a loud voice boomed through the ship. It was rough and angry. "Attention, space station and unknown ship. This is Captain Grok of the Drakkar fleet. Surrender now or be destroyed." The aliens on the bridge looked scared, but the humans didn't seem worried at all. Diplomat Sun stepped forward. "Should we answer them, Captain?" she asked. Captain J nodded. "Let's see if we can talk first," he said. He touched a button on his chair. "This is Captain J of the HSS Thunderbolt. We don't want to fight. Please turn your ships around." There was a moment of silence. Then Captain Grok's voice came back, louder and angrier. "Ha! You dare to tell us what to do? We are the Drakkar. We take what we want." Suddenly, the view screen lit up. Hundreds of bright lights were shooting from the Drakkar ships towards the station. "They're firing all their weapons," shouted a human crew member. The alien visitors gasped, but Captain J remained calm. "Quantum field, full power," he ordered. The ship hummed loudly. Outside, a shimmering blue bubble appeared around the Thunderbolt and the space station. The Drakkar weapons hit the bubble. There were flashes of light and loud booms, but when it was over, the Thunderbolt and the station were fine. On the screen, they could see the Drakkar ships. They had stopped firing and seemed confused. Captain Grok's voice came again, but this time he sounded less sure. What was that? How did you stop our weapons?" Captain J smiled. "As I said, we don't want to fight. Please, let's talk instead." But the Drakkar captain was too angry to listen. "No one can stop us," he shouted. "All ships, ram them." The alien visitors cried out in fear as they saw the Drakkar ships start to move. They were going to crash into the Thunderbolt and the station. "Captain, what should we do?" asked Chief Engineer Yun. She looked worried for the first time. Captain J's face was serious. "We've tried to be nice," he said. "Now we have to stop them." He turned to the aliens. "Watch closely," he said. "You're about to see why our ship is called the Thunderbolt." Captain J sat in his chair and touched some buttons. "Activate the gravity pulse emitter," he ordered. "Full spread, low power. Push them back. Don't hurt them." The ship hummed again, but in a different way. On the screen, they saw waves of invisible force shoot out from the Thunderbolt. The waves hit the Drakkar ships. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the ship started to move backwards. The Drakkar tried to fight it. Their engines glowed brightly as they pushed forward, but it was no use. The gravity pulse was too strong. Soon, all the Drakkar ships were moving away from the station. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't get closer. Captain Grok's voice came again. He sounded scared now. "What is this? What are you doing to us?" "We're keeping you safe," Captain J answered. "From yourselves and from us. Now, are you ready to talk?" There was a long silence. The aliens on the bridge held their breath. What would the Drakkar do now? Finally, Captain Grok spoke again. We surrender," he said. He sounded defeated. A cheer went up from the humans on the bridge. The alien visitors looked amazed. Tak waved his tentacles in excitement. "You did it," he said. "You stopped them without hurting anyone." Rin's purple eyes were shining. "It's incredible," she said. "You're so powerful, but so gentle too." Captain J smiled at them. "This is the human way," he said. "We're strong so we don't have to be cruel." As the humans began to talk with the Drakkar, making plans for peace, the alien visitors knew one thing for sure. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had arrived, and they were more amazing than anyone could have imagined. The space around the station was calm again. The Drakkar ships floated quietly, no longer a threat. On the bridge of the HSS Thunderbolt, Captain J and his crew were busy talking to the Drakkar leaders. Tak and Rin watched with wide eyes. They could hardly believe what they had seen. "I never thought the Drakkar would give up so easily," Tak said, his blue tentacles waving gently. Rin nodded, her purple eyes shining. The humans did it without firing a single shot, she said. It's amazing. After a while, Captain J turned to the alien visitors. It's done, he said with a smile. The Drakkar have agreed to leave peacefully. They've even promised to stop their pirate ways. The aliens cheered. It was more than they had ever hoped for. How did you do it? Rin asked. How did you convince them? Diplomat's son stepped forward. We offered them a choice, she said. They could keep being pirates and face ships like ours all the time, or they could join the galactic community and learn to use technology like ours. Tak's eyes grew wide. You're going to share your technology with them? He asked, surprised. Captain J nodded. Not all of it, of course, but enough to show them a better way to live. The alien visitors looked at each other, amazed. The humans were not just powerful. They were also kind and wise. Soon, it was time to return to the space station. As they walked into the main meeting room, they found it full of excited aliens. Everyone wanted to know what had happened. Head Counselor Zix called for quiet. Please, he said, let our brave visitors tell us what they saw. Tak and Rin stepped forward. They told the story of how the Thunderbolt had stopped the Drakkar attack. They described the amazing technology they had seen, and they explained how the humans had made peace with the pirates. When they finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then suddenly, every alien started cheering and clapping. Some used hands, some used tentacles, some used wings. But they all showed their joy and thanks. Captain J and Diplomat's son stood to one side, looking a bit shy. They weren't used to so much praise. Head Counselor Zix raised his hands for quiet again. Humans, he said, his voice serious, you have done more than protect us. You have shown us a new way to solve problems. We thank you. He turned to the other aliens. I think it's clear, he said, that we should welcome humanity into our galactic alliance. All in favor, raise your hand or tentacle. This time, every hand and tentacle in the room went up at once. There was no doubt in anyone's mind. Diplomat's son stepped forward. We are honored, she said. We promise to be good friends and allies to all of you. As the aliens cheered again, Tak turned to Rin. You know, he said, when I first saw the Thunderbolt, I was terrified. I thought humans must be the scariest species in the galaxy. Rin nodded. Me too, she said. But now I see we were wrong. They're not scary at all. Tak waved a tentacle. Oh, I think they are scary, he said, but in a good way. They're so powerful, but they use that power to help others. That's something to admire, not fear. Rin thought about it. You're right, she said. They're terrifying to enemies, but wonderful to friends. As the celebration went on, news of what had happened spread quickly through the galaxy. Everywhere, aliens talked about the amazing humans and their incredible ship. Some were still a bit afraid, but most were excited. The galaxy had changed. A new era had begun. And at the center of it all was the HSS Thunderbolt, no longer a source of terror, but a symbol of hope. It stood as a shining example of what was possible when great power was matched with great wisdom and kindness. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had made quite an entrance indeed.